Hello and welcome to our Halloween edition of the Simply Colorful FiberCast. My name is Lynn. I'm your host, and I am a Mardi Gras reveler. Beads and all, hurricane drink and all. Happy Halloween, everyone. This glass is from 1990. I hope you all have a project, and I'm so glad to come to you from my home studio here in Hopkinton. I'm back home after 6 trips in October, and so it's nice to sit back, have a drink with you. And so Simply Colorful FiberCast is all about all of us just doing our own projects in the comfort of our own home and keeping each other company. So please do send pictures. I have some pictures to share of what everyone has been working on that you've been sharing with me over the weeks, and I'll share that. I also want to talk a little bit about the history of Mardi Gras and why I'm wearing a mask and what the colors of the beads mean. And for those of you down in New Orleans, you can help educate us on Mardi Gras. And let's see, and I'm also going to make another Dear Jane block. I thought of making Halloween pillow cushions or pillowcases, and I thought of doing another special holiday project, but truthfully, I just got home at 5 o'clock, and this is what I can do. This is what I can muster. So thanks for joining. I'm so glad you're here with me. Let's talk about Mardi Gras for a second. Actually, grab your project while I'm doing that, and just know that if you want to do a Dear Jane block with me, the one I'm doing tonight is K13 Brandon Star. And it's that one. So that's what we're going to be doing. But first, let's talk about Mardi Gras, and send me your emails or your texts to lmarquedant@gmail.com, LMARQUEDANT@gmail.com. And as always, thank you for your notes and questions and pictures. And let's talk about Mardi Gras. It's also known as Fat Tuesday. And it's a carnival that happens just before the 40 days between Ash Wednesday and Easter, to celebrate our last hurrah before we go into that period to kick off Lent. And it is a time for people to go out and strip themselves of any hierarchy or class. The masks are meant to hide you behind that and make everyone equal, which I kind of like. It says here, it became a legal holiday in Louisiana in 1875. It was once just the Christian holiday rooted in Rome, but again, now it's just become a tradition of kicking off spring. Let's see. And here are some real meanings behind 5 Mardi Gras traditions. And you can see this on the web just like I can, but I thought it was kind of fun. And by the way, I got these when I was down in New Orleans like a month ago, and I've been saving them. And you know me in secrets, I'm not very good with them, so I'm kind of happy that I didn't tell anyone what it was going to be. Anyway, let's see. The masks worn during Mardi Gras allow carnival attendees to be whomever they want to be. Masks are an integral part of the culture. During early Mardi Gras celebrations hundreds of years ago, masks were a way for their wearers to escape class constraints and social demands. Mask wearers could mingle with people of all different classes and could be whomever they desired, at least for a few days. In New Orleans, float riders are required by law to have a mask on. And it says on Fat Tuesday, masking is legal for all Mardi Gras attendees, although store owners will post signs saying, take your mask off when you go inside. And I remember that, and I've been there once, and that's why I have this glass. I was there for an event back in 1990. I think I was telling my mother about this last time I saw her. That was 25 years ago. And they were serving a drink called a hurricane. And it was red, and I actually pulled up, for anyone who, have you ever had a hurricane? It's a rum-flavored cocktail. And let's see. There are all sorts of pretty images of it. Isn't that pretty? There's another one. And let's see, what does it say about it? Nellie's Hurricane Recipe from the Food Network. Let's see what that one says. Has anyone else's internet been slow? Mine has been so slow the last week or so. Okay, so the hurricane's ingredients: ice cubes, light rum, dark rum, passion fruit juice, pineapple juice, lime, grenadine, and an orange. Okay, and now the Food Network wants me to sign up for a recipe of the day, and clearly the Food Network does not know that I don't cook very often. Either that or they do think I need help, and so they're offering me recipes. Anyway, let's talk about the beads. Throwing of the beads. It's a tradition that started with the original colors. Actually, the colors of the beads matter. And the colors were determined by the king on the first day of Carnival in 1892. He wanted colors to be royal colors, purple, and you threw the beads based on the attributes that someone else was exhibiting. So if someone was just or displaying justice, they could get purple. If someone was displaying power, they would get gold. And finally, if someone had faith, they would get green. So those are the colors according to this lure. So why don't I get, now that we've talked about colors, why don't I get sewing and look at some of your colors and your costumes. So again, I'm going to make this block, K13, and I kept imagining this is actually ginger ale that's been colored with red food coloring. And I keep imagining it would make such a mess if I spilled it. So I'm going to move it. But it is good. So actually I'm going to put it right back over here. And we can pretend we're drinking the hurricane. And I haven't cut out any fabric yet for this. Like I say, I just got home. And I have the cutouts. You've seen this drill before. I use the Dear Jane software, and I love it. And it's perfect for nights like tonight when, frankly, all my clothes are dirty. The bed needed to be made when I came home. The place is a shambles, and it's nice to have something that was easy to pull out that I can make progress on toward one of my sewing goals. And it's nice to have a few of these printed out, actually. Let's see. I'm going to use my white one. Isn't this a pretty variegated? I think it's a Moda. Isn't that a pretty blue? And what I love is it's all on one cut of fabric. So the question is, which side? I think maybe I'll use this right in the middle. Not too dark, not too light. And then, like I always do, I will cut out pieces to use in my paper piecing. So here's the first one side. This would be neat if I could keep the gradation going the same way, wouldn't it? By that I mean each side of the star, if I started sort of light and went dark, or went dark and then light. Huh. You all right? Okay, light and dark. Light and dark. And then No, it's not going to be worth all the trouble because look at this. It's such a small piece and the gradation is not all that striking. So we can see that, but if I put this in a little piece, so I'm not going to worry about that. Okay. Let's see who's out there with the pictures. In fact, I had one. I don't know if Karen is out there. I wanted to share her squares. Come on. Karen has been working on her postage stamp quilt. Look at those. Each one of those 25 square blocks is only 5.5 inches. Isn't that something? KB, that's an amazing feat. I cannot wait to see that one all together. Oh, Sue Norton. Hi, Sue. I love seeing your posts. Oh, my goodness. I love what you're doing. Sue starts out, I feel like I've been such a lurker this last month. I've been watching FiberCast, but been so tired from work lately. Just haven't felt like even typing an email. That's okay. You don't have to. I'm just so glad you're out there and you're watching and you're getting something from it. And I know what you mean about being tired about work. It's October's, I've decided, are the hardest work months for me in my business. I don't know if it's like you, but hang in there. So she says, haven't you felt like typing an email? I understand. She says, I spend all day on a computer and just really get so burned out. Me too. So she says, but anyway, enough whining. Okay, we won't whine. Here is what I've been working on. It's a quilt for my mom and dad. Hopefully once this is done, I will start back on my Dear Jane. I think I have 35 blocks done. You're amazing. I remember you doing more than one of those blocks every time you do it. I love this quilt, and I love who your poster next to it. Isn't that stunning? Once again, you have great contrast. I love that. And you're using your wall. Thanks for writing, Sue. And I'm glad you're out there. Hey, Cindy, hi. Cindy is writing from Ashland, I bet. And she says, hi, glad to see you back. And I thank you, Cindy. Cindy sent me a note. I was sitting in the Indianapolis airport this morning. And it was just so nice to see her email to me, or her text. And in fact, she sent me a picture of what she's been working on, and she said I could show you. So, Cindy, I'm going to show it now. Cindy is making, she took a class, and this is the model. And it's a paper piecing. Looks kind of dark there. Pattern. And then she is, I'll show you. This is the progress so far. Maybe you can see behind it. All of those paper pieces are what she's cutting out the colors for. Isn't that neat? And look at how different it looks with the purple background compared to the pink. And I should say Cindy offered to bring this over, and Cindy, thank you. And maybe another Friday night we could have you work on it live. That would be fun. But no pressure. Just thanks for sharing that. Who else is out there? Joyce Long. Joyce sent me a note with her latest quilt, and she said she was having a hard time finding the FiberCast recordings over these last 2 weeks, which is understandable because they were pre-recorded, or I had toggled a switch on it saying that the recording could only be seen by certain platforms. Anyway, Joyce, I hope you're seeing this now. I'm so glad you're out there, and I want to share your bunny quilt. And she says this is a quilt she made. It's a child's quilt. And can you see the bunnies, the jumping bunnies that she's appliqued on top? It adds such whimsy. I love it. And she said now she has subscribed to the YouTube channel. So thank you to everyone who subscribed to the YouTube channel. That's how you always get notified when we go on with FiberCast. All right. Finished a baby quilt. So there is Joyce. Now, oh, we have a new viewer. Oh, I feel so like I'm catching up with you all. There's so many things to share. A new viewer who I actually worked with, Mary Lou. I mentioned a couple of weeks ago I went to a quilting, the quilt show with her. And she sent me this felted doll called Sweet Pea. And Mary Lou is into fiber and knitting. She says she needs help with her hairdo. Can you help her? I think she's just fabulous the way she is. So Mary Lou, if you're out there, thanks for joining and welcome. Welcome. Maybe you're working on a new project, or maybe you're just watching. Let's see. Colleen, if you're out there, hello. I hope you've been spending time with your grandchildren. And she says she sent a note last week saying, no sweater needed, just a shirt and capri out in California. I tell you, earlier this week, I was in Lake Tahoe, actually Olympic Valley, and it was one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen on earth. It was mountainous, and granted it was dry, but there were still many evergreen trees and big acorns, pine cones, big pine cones, 6 inches tall, the big ones. And then there were some other, I think they might have been aspens, that had very bright yellow leaves, and they would kind of tinkle, and they were interspersed into all the green and the hills. It was just beautiful. I might have a picture or two. Highly recommend going there. It was, I flew into Reno, and then literally less than an hour's drive, and a beautiful drive at that, was this was the view. Let's see. Yep. When you walked in to, it was Squaw Creek was the name of the hotel. And that was the view from the lobby. And I can hear a squirrel or something upstairs. Used to be mice running behind me. Now I hear a squirrel. You guys, let's see. Let me see one other picture if I can find a pretty one. My poor family has already seen these. I kept texting them home. They were so gorgeous. That view was out my bedroom window. So anyway, that was neat. And then I was in Indianapolis later in the week. What a nice city, too. Big state house right in downtown Indianapolis. Lots of big hotels, and Lucas Oil Stadium is right there where the Colts play. And fun place to visit, and not a lot of traffic. It was very good. Anyway, I'll show you more of those pictures, but let's get back to fiber. Oh, I so have missed the fiber. Kathy, Kathy K said, enjoy Chicago when I was there. So I was there last week, and I did. It was a good day trip. Okay, so I think that's good. That's it for now. I really do need to get sewing here, don't I? Oh, I think I saw a few texts. 1 second. Getting discombobulated with my multiple devices, and not to mention every time I look up I see this masked woman in the in the camera. You guys must think I look crazy. Jean! Hello, Jean. She says, are you live tonight? Yep. Can't wait to see your costume. I'm going to put the binding on the quilt and try to hem my own pants. Impossible. Sam's quilt. I can hardly read this. Well, good luck. Binding does sound easier than hemming pants. And I'm glad you're out there. Hi to everyone who's out there. I hope you're having a nice fall night. Speaking of whom, Michaela. Maybe my niece Michaela is out there. She says, I was wondering if you had any suggestions for how to fix a small hole in the back of my sweater. I do, Michaela. And I can tell you now, and I can definitely show you. I can bring you a needle and some thread, although I need to know what color, or I can tell you. So depends what your sweater's made out of, whether it's thick yarn or thin yarn, and it depends what the size of the hole is. So let's look at it. If it's a very small hole and maybe very fine yarn, like a fingering weight yarn, who knows, maybe we can just use button thread or some delicate thread to weave the pieces together, and you'll just see a little imperfection. If it's a big hole, we could always do something like a leather patch. That's usually on your elbows, though, but if it's on your back, we can figure something out. I don't know if other people have ideas. It's kind of like darning socks. We'll hold it together. And then when all else fails, you can put a scarf around it so that people don't see what your Aunt Lynn did to your sweater. Okay. Hey, Karen! Karen is out there. She says, can't wait for FiberCast. It's postage stamp 5x5s for me tonight. Amazing. Thank you for the awesome box of charms. Is it bad manners to pick out the bright colors? No. You can do anything you want with them. And I'm sorry it took me so long to get those to you. I have to say, it was a delight to go to the post office, though. I had a box of charms for my sister, like a shoe box. And the post office had the perfect size box. I just had to slide it right in, tape it, send it. That doesn't happen very often. I was very happy. All right. So let me put these aside. Let me put this aside. It's been fun to see pictures of the Quilt Mart. Is it down in Texas that everyone's been going to? All the vendors. That's been fun. Okay. Tell you, Facebook or these online sites really do allow me to stay connected even when I'm traveling. And it is a nice thing. I'm glad that traveling is over for a while, though. The world is changing, folks. Oh, but I got an award last week. When I went to Virginia, I went to Keswick Hall, which is down in Charlottesville, Virginia. I think maybe I've mentioned it before. If you're near a computer and you want to see a lovely place, Google it, Keswick Hall. And you can look up Keswick Hunt Club. It's down in Horse region in California. And oh, I didn't lower this down to 1.8. Anyway, there I got basically a government marketing award. My peers were there. That was kind of neat. And then, but the rest of the time I was out there with customers at these various government shows and education shows. And this cloud thing that I know I have bored people to death with really is changing our lives. And so they're talking about, they're basically managing the process of going from building computer systems in their own basements to using the cloud to store their data or move their data or conduct their business. And they're doing that slowly over time, cost effectively, keeping in mind people who are retiring. So, and costs of legacy systems and new software licenses that maybe they need to fully depreciate over time. And so it's kind of interesting. People who used to run computers now really are service brokers, they're resource managers, different skill set. And so for those of us who are marketing to them, that's changing our world because we have to market differently and help them in different ways than we used to. This week in Indianapolis, you guys have to laugh. I can't talk about this serious digital transformation and do my paper piecing. I can't figure this out. 1, 2, 3. It's pretty funny. All right, let's see if I can make this work. This is going to be close. Okay, let's see if we got this at all close. Okay. I think we can do this. There we go. So I've been thinking about the winter mystery quilt that Bonnie Hunter does. And you know, a big part of me really wants to do it because I like her mysteries, but I don't think she's going to let me do it. So I have to go to Plan B, which is a shame because I know a lot of you do it, but we'll see. There certainly are more quilts to make than I have time in my life to make, so we'll find something. And there was a suggestion which I really like, and I apologize, I'm forgetting who made the suggestion, but whomever you are, thank you. We could do a sort of sampler mystery. We could pick the patterns that are historic and over 100 years old and not copywritten or in the public domain. And we could make a sampler quilt. We could all pick our own colors, and we could do maybe one a week between now and through Christmas. And then imagine how pretty that would be. That might be fun. Hey, look at this. Look at that, baby. In fact, we probably should do that. But I haven't given up completely. Kind of interested how many of you are doing Bonnie's quilt. Maybe I could do a little survey monkey and find out. Anyway, let me know if you have any preference, or if you just want to work on your own stuff. I'm cool with that too. I'm still finishing my dolls, and We're definitely doing the Ooh Baby Baby Mystery starting January 15th. So that'll be our 3rd annual Simply Colorful Mystery Quilt. Well, look at that. I just barely made that corner. Not perfect, but okay. So there's that. Let's do the other one. These lights are so good when you're doing paper piecing. Do you guys believe I'm still wearing my costume? You have to send me pictures of your costumes. I saw the most creative one from a woman who I used to work with. Let me see if I can describe it to you, and then you tell me what she is. She was wearing a white shirt, and on the front it said, "Go Ceiling." She had pom-poms in her left hand and a megaphone in her right. What was she? I'll tell you, I'll say it again what she had. So she was wearing a white t-shirt on the front of which, and just regular, I don't know, pants, blue pants. The t-shirt said, "Go, G-O, Ceiling, C-E-I-L-I-N-G. And then in this hand she had pom-poms, and in this hand she had a megaphone that said, "Go Team." What was she? She was a ceiling fan. Oh boy. How creative. Oh, and I bet KB's Batman costume is being used this weekend. And I saw Jean, my sister-in-law, was dressed as a scarecrow at her dental office. That was cool. And her kids were dressed as serial burglars. And they were different cereals. Like they had Captain Crunch, they had Fruity Pebbles. I don't even know which ones they were. And I guess they like cereal. I don't know. Okay, this is where I'm just barely, you know what? How's my blue? Nope, never mind. We'll just go with it. So Sue Norton, I can really relate to the fact that you spend your days on the computer and that at night you don't want to touch it. I too am realizing that I'm always on with that computer. So let me give you an example. Last night, when I was in my hotel room, all of my work had been done for the day. I get an email probably at 7 o'clock. Now, if I didn't have connectivity, I wouldn't have seen the email. But I see this note from my boss saying, "Tomorrow, I need a list of all of the events that we need to invest in next year, and I'm going to be meeting with someone to see if we can get the budget for it. And I need you to put that list together, and by the way, join the meeting." So that was last night, right? There I am in my hotel room. I know, oh, and by the way, I had stayed in Indianapolis instead of taking an evening flight home because I have some training that we're building and we were doing a dry run at 4 p.m. And I knew that I couldn't do the dry run on the webcast and then get home before 1 o'clock or whatever, so I decided to spend the night and do work there. Well, of course, that meeting got canceled at 3:45, and now, which I'm not happy about, because we go live on Tuesday and they better darn well have their content ready. Anyway, so Sue, so there I am, 7 o'clock, I get the note saying tomorrow you need to prepare this. And I'm thinking, well, I'm flying home tomorrow, so there I am last night preparing the work, send it over. Then today, and I let my boss know that I'm going to be in the air from 12 to 3. Sure enough, at 4 o'clock, I'm in the van driving home on the Mass Pike with a group of people in a shared van, and I have to take a conference call with my boss and someone down in Texas to talk about what I had done last night. And that happens all the time. So, Sue, I can relate. There, got that off my chest. Okay, see this? 2 parts. We're cranking. Okay, see, so there's the second part. Now I'm going to clean it up. But anyway, we all have work stories like that. And I have to remember that. It's just this always being connected has really changed things. On the one hand, yes, it allows for more flexibility during the day. If I have a dentist appointment or a doctor's appointment, you can go do that and not feel as guilty, because you know you're going to be working later that night. But it just means you're always on. Okay, so let's get to the middle here. Let's see who's out there. My chair is. Did you see all my beads? My purples and my greens? I actually have other colors too that they put on the table. These beads were on the Waldorf Astoria Hotel table back at the end of September when we were doing the Web Awards. And they were very pretty. Actually, and this mask, it had a piece of florist. It had a florist stick on it, and it was in the center of the table in a flower arrangement. So this has come back from New Orleans. Oh, hey! Jean has a question for Karen about the postage stamp quilt. So KB, the question from Jean is there any rhyme or reason to putting your postage stamps together? Do you try to pick light and dark pairs, or anything goes? Could you tell us more about that? And thanks. I think I know a little bit of what you're doing, but I'm interested to hear what you say if you're still there. And if not, we can keep it till next time. But I'm loving, Jean, Karen's, I wonder if I have a picture of it. She's doing an alternating those 25 blocks in kind of doing that as an Irish chain, and then the other blocks are just a solid color, and she's still deciding. I don't know if she has decided what that color will be, whether it'll be white or a print or dark blue, and then she's snowballing that solid piece, so it ends up being that very Irish chainy cross-hatching of the square. So it's not like one big whole postage stamp quilt. Let's see, who else is out there? Hey, Maggie in New Hampshire, hello. Haven't heard from you in a few weeks. Aw, oh, aren't you nice to send me a hello? She says, Maggie says, no pictures to show, but hats off to you to host FiberCast after just getting home 3 hours ago. You're the best. Love your mask. Have a good weekend, Maggie. Thank you, Maggie. That's why I do this. Thanks. We can all know that we have... Oh! Darning socks, says Sue Norton. She says, how do you know? You know how to darn socks? She says, question mark. I stick my finger through the hole and say, oh darn, and throw it away. Sorry, she says, I had to say it. Touche. The only reason I know, and I can't say I've ever done it correctly, is my mother used to have one of those little darning eggs, the little wooden thing that you would put in the sock and hold it there. And all my life, not that, I'm sure my mother did do it, but I don't remember. Of course, she wasn't by the fire doing it every night, for sure. And I'm sure I never got a lesson. And if anything, when I would fix socks, I would just go, just kind of like a whip stitch and close the hole. And it was only recently that I actually saw that darning actually is recreating the weave of the hole. So it's not just whip stitching the pieces shut. It's actually going back and forth and creating the weave where the hole is, if that makes sense, over that round egg. Anyway, touche, Sue. Sue, have you ever knit socks? Those knitting socks is really fun. It's kind of a big commitment, but it's not as much as a sweater. And then that's fun. I haven't done that in years, though, so easy for me to say. Oh, excellent. Maureen says, I will mark my calendar for your mystery quilt. Oh, good. Good, good, good. I hope you're well in Pennsylvania. So Maggie and Maureen and Sue. Let's see. Oh, KK. KK out in San Diego is at a retreat. And I meant to show everyone. You've got to see this picture. So KK is the Karen. She's another Karen of ours who will write in and say, because of course we're on at 8 Eastern, so that's 5 p.m. Pacific. And she's the one who will write in and say she's got us on her iPhone at work still, or she's just going home and it's on the iPhone. So I loved seeing that she's taking 3 days, 2 days, just to work on her own sewing. Okay, ready? She says, let the retreat begin. 3 days of sewing, friends, and great meals. Can you see her? She's working on this really neat braid. See, it's on the wall there. Karen, we hope you're having fun. We're jealous. Anyway, let's get back to this. Oh, since I have this here and since it is Halloween, I wanted to share this again with everyone. Hi, Karen. And then here's one. So the top one there, the mummy and the dog. The mummy, that's my Bob. So for those of you who have asked for a picture of Bob, that's Bob. And then over here, that's my niece, the one that looks like Rosie the Riveter. So that's fun. Those are Halloween's past. Okay, let's get going. How's Sam's quilt coming, Jean? I'm psyched for our retreat wherever we go. KB said she's in for Missouri. I'm in for Missouri. Okay. But that's a ways away. I have a house to clean. My house is such a mess. Do you see the quilt behind me, by the way? It was the closest I had to something that was Halloween colors. It had some orange and some purple. And the square in the middle, the 4 squares in the middle, are Carol Doak patterns, and I actually did them up in Manchester, New Hampshire years ago in one of her classes. So thought I would. I don't have it on, don't really have any way to hang it up, but this works. Meaning I don't have a sleeve on it yet, so I've pinned it up. Okay, I'm going to do one more of these, and then I think I'm going to call it. Here and here. Sandra, if you're out there, how's the weather in Mississippi? Oh, and I want to shout out to Jen in Perth, and Ann in Canada, and Lorna, and Peggy in Australia. I hope you're all doing well, being creative. Oh, and Maxine, thank you for sharing the video. I mean the webcast, the FiberCast link today. Thank you, I really appreciate that. You know, when I post the link to FiberCast, I do it on Thursday nights on Facebook. I noticed this morning that that link that I posted last night got to 14 people. So that's why subscribing via YouTube is the right way, the way I would suggest. If you want company while you're sewing every Friday night, please subscribe and tell your friends to subscribe. Get those subscriptions up, because it's amazing. I know tonight's not a good example, but it's amazing what we get done together in 60 minutes. How many of you finger press? Really works really well, actually, doesn't it? Okay. That is if it's cotton. If there's any polyester or if it's cheap fabric, then it's finger pressing isn't enough. There we go. Oh, here, I should move this down so you can see it. We're getting there. Can you believe I won't even get a star finished? Maybe I'll do the other end of the star. I have to tell you too, how is this going to work? I think rather than doing this via paper piece, so the middle is literally a 9-patch. I think instead of doing that, well, no, I guess I should paper piece it. I was going to just sew strips and then cut them, but we'll see. Here's the blue. There's one. Sue, you're so funny with darning of socks. You're right, I don't darn socks. In fact, I don't even bleach them. If they get dirty, I throw them out. That's not quite true. Actually, you want to know the truth. We have a dog. Well, how do I put this? Upstairs we have carpeting that has been here since we moved in and have done construction. So it is dirty, dirty. It's like indoor-outdoor carpeting, or it's really cheap indoor-outdoor. And we know that eventually we're going to replace it with hardwood. But for now, it's just this cheap carpeting that we have washed periodically with a steam cleaner. And we just keep getting more dirt. We don't vacuum it nearly enough. And so this thing is so dirty. What I do is I never walk barefoot on the carpet. You imagine in your own house you can't do that. And I wear socks, usually white crew socks. And they get so filthy dirty from the floor that after a few, well, probably several times of wearing and then washing and wearing, I throw them out. But we will clean it up soon enough. And with a dog, as you know, things are always getting spilled or pulled down. Like my walnut shells. Remember I have that bag of walnut shells that we put in our pin cushions? Well, I still have a big bag, and it must smell like food to the dog because periodically, and I have it's over there on a shelf, and it's up way back so that she can't get it. But whenever I'm gone, she will pull everything in front of that shelf that she can reach off onto the ground. Every single time. So things like that will spill, and then that just makes the floor dirty. All right, there's another one. Yay. See, it's looking like a star. All right. Well, on this Halloween night, we're not going to get that done, but let me conclude by writing something in our book and encourage everyone to have a creative weekend. I know this is just what I needed. Little sewing with my friends and hearing what you're all working on and saying hello, and hello right back at ya. Okay, Brandon Starr, it's October 30th, 2015. Happy Halloween. I was a New Orleans Mardi Gras reveler, aka partier. And finished half the block and showed some pictures from Cindy, what she's working on, from Joyce, from Susan, from Karen, and showed what several FiberCasters were working on. Yay! And I got to decompress, and I got to whine a little bit about my job. Thanks for listening. I hope you all have had a great Friday night. I hope you have an even better weekend. And be creative, get outside, move, just say get creative, touch fiber, and just in general do something you like to do. So with that, happy Halloween. See you next Friday night live right here in the Simply Colorful studio. Bye, everyone.